Hi everyone, welcome to our workshop. My name is Jose Gonzalez. I work for the Ryerson Student Union and I'm the Student Issues and Advocacy Coordinator. I'm very glad to be here with you and I hope after this workshop you have a better clarity about your academic standing. And I will pass it on now to Lindo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lyndall Musselman. I'm the Student Rights Coordinator for CESAR, which is the Continuing Education Student Association of Ryerson. And so CESAR is one of the student unions for that any students doing Chang School courses, or those of you who might be enrolled in a part-time undergraduate degree program specifically. On to Kwame.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kwame Addo. I'm the Ombudsperson for Ryerson University. The Ombudsperson's office is an independent and confidential office that helps to resolve disputes that students may have and investigating complaints whenever they're appropriate. I'll speak a little bit more about our office a little later in the presentation. Thank you.
My name is Chris Bertram. I'm the Academic Success Facilitator with Student Life and Learning Support. So my role as an Academic Success Facilitator, it's a combination of learning strategist meets academic advisor, where I work closely with students on probationary standing or RTW students, one-on-one or through the Get Clear and Fresh Start program. Thank you for having me, Linda.
Oh, our pleasure. Okay, on to acknowledging the land that we are on. So we can never work to end systemic and institutional violence if we do not center the narratives of Indigenous people in our collective decision-making and efforts to reach equity and social justice. As settlers on Turtle Island, we directly benefit from the colonialization and genocide of the Indigenous peoples. So in order to engage in resistance and solidarity against these injustices inflicted on the Indigenous people, it is imperative that we constantly engage in acts of decolonization. So Toronto and the university are in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty that bound the Anishinaabe, the Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into the treaty in a spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Okay, so I'll just do a brief overview of academic standings at the university. So overall, you should know that there is a standard to graduate. So all students in degree programs at Ryerson must maintain a minimum cumulative grade point average of 1.67 in order to graduate. And there's a caveat that some programs may have higher requirements or a standing variation or a grading variation, such as having to earn a grade of 63% in a course in order to pass instead of the usual 50% in order to pass a course. And so everyone starts at Ryerson with clear academic standing. So that is not on the slide, but clear is an important academic standing and maybe probably what you'll be reaching towards, right, in order to get back maybe into your program or to go on to graduate. So probation, this is an academic standing where it's meant to be a warning sign for students. So this happens, you fall into probationary standing when your grades fall below 1.67, and it's just the university's way to like help you get back on track. You're asked to sign the probationary contract right away in the next semester if you intend to continue in courses. And just know that you should sign that probationary contract really as soon as possible. The current policy that governs academic standings is Senate Policy 46. It's the GPA policy or grading, promotion, academic standing policy. And it does say that if students fail to sign off on their probationary contract, they will be removed from their courses. You basically would become required to withdraw, actually. So on to RTW, we have a couple slides that go into detail about RTW. So we'll just pause on that one for now. And I'll just briefly touch on permanently program withdrawn, PPW. So this is a terminal kind of standing where students would be permanently removed from their program. You wouldn't be able to apply for reinstatement, and you wouldn't be able to go back after a period away like you can in RTW, for example. So students that are PPW, you probably should consider doing an appeal if you do disagree with that standing and you want to push back and not have that standing noted on your transcript. So we will cover a little bit about appeals in this presentation, so stay tuned for that. And also just around PPW, you can become PPW if you were reinstated into your program after being RTW. So if you're RTW a second time, it would actually become permanently program withdrawn. And the other reason that you could be PPW is if you fail a required course for the third time. Or if you were in nursing, for example, and you failed a required course for the second time, you would become permanently program withdrawn. And then another standing that is not noted on this slide is standing variation withdrawal. So that's SVW. And as far as I know, it really only applies to students from the School of Accounting and Finance. And with that standing, it also, in the current language of policy 46, is permanent, but you can apply to other programs at Ryerson, and you actually can right away take Chang School courses if you want to do so. It is different than RTW in that way. So on to required to withdraw specifics. So if you had a CGPA of less than 1, except for students in their first semester at Ryerson, you would become RTW. If you end up having a term GPA of 1.67, or sorry, below 1.67 while on probationary contract, you would become RTW as well. And a violation of a probationary contracts, certain programs require specific things, or as I mentioned already, failure to establish or sign off on your probationary contract will cause you to be required to withdraw also. So on to the next slide, some options. There are really well, like 3 options to think about if you are RTW. So you could do the 12-month period away from your studies, so away from your program. And you're supposed to, during that 1 year, just think about what went wrong, what happened, how did you end up being on RTW, and how could you improve things going forward. So note that you, if you do want to take that 12 months away and you want to apply for reinstatement, the deadline is April 1st of 2022, so that you could begin again, or if you are reinstated, you could begin again in May of 2022. And the other option is really thinking about whether you're in the right program. Maybe you would be more suited to another program that didn't require a certain course, or maybe a skill set that you really have been struggling with. You know, we all are kind of living and learning and experimenting. So maybe this program was not the right one for you. That may be the case. So in order to transfer at Ryerson, you do need to apply basically for admission into the program. There's not like an internal transfer process. So you should always consult with the admissions folks at Ryerson, or at a minimum, like explore online what requirements are for that other program that might be similar, but is different. And then thirdly, we have Fresh Start, which is a very good option for those of you that could qualify. And here is Chris to talk about Fresh Start.
So say you are RTW and you do want to apply for the Fresh Start program. Not everyone who is RTW status is eligible or will be approved. It's all dependent on your program, the faculty, as well as having that conversation. And this is what I highly recommend: have a conversation with your academic program advisor just for more information on eligibility. So if you do get approved in the Fresh Start program, you must sit out 1 semester. So in comparison to the other options, where you're sitting out 1 year, you're only sitting out 1 semester after receiving RTW and summer counts. Next slide, please. So the deadline to apply for Fresh Start for September 2021 is August 6th. So it's going to come quickly. So I highly recommend check out the website that I put in the chat and look at what to do in terms of filling out the application, what the process is like. It's a pretty quick process. So in the Fresh Start program, you'll enroll in 2 credit courses, plus the course that I facilitate and teach, the Fresh Start Strategies course, or CIFS 100, in your first term. Upon successful completion of all 3 courses, the second term, you can enroll in up to 4 courses. And by completing all the requirements of the Fresh Start program, you guarantee your reinstatement back into your program. So it's a very smooth and easier transition back into your program. And with the Fresh Start Strategies course, it's more than just learning about learning strategies and how to be, quote unquote, a better student. The first 2 weeks is about building a growth mindset, finding your ikigai or passion or reason for being, creating, visualizing, and manifesting your goals. The week 3 and 4 is about developing a better understanding and identification of your learning strengths, styles, patterns, and applying these new tools to your learning. And week 5 to 7 is about realizing your true potential, your personal power, and reflecting on the goals that you want to set and that you have set on this journey in Fresh Start, and coming out of it a better version of yourself and being a stronger student with skills and tools that you could apply to your later years at Ryerson and into your career. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Chris. The next section is, I will I briefly introduce myself. Okay. My name is Jose Gonzalez. I work for the Ryerson Student Union. I, together with another team members, Suli, that is here, and Carlina, we assist students that they are either full-time or that they are taking courses as a graduate students. And I mean, Lindo and myself, we do the same job. It's just if you are a part-time student taking courses, if you're taking courses at Chang or you're part-time students, you get assistance by Lindo, and the rest of the students get assistance by me. I want to invite you also. I mean, this workshop is very briefly just talking about the standing appearance, but I just want to remind you that Wednesday, tomorrow, there will be a workshop if you want to know more about how to write a strong appeal. It's from 12 to 2, so I recommend that you attend to that. And also, I wanna, if you need assistance and you would like just that we look at your appeal or want to meet with us, you can go through the website, the RSU website, and you can book an appointment there. If you don't find an appointment, just send us an email. Our advocacy email also is in the RSU website, and then we will be happy just to book an appointment manually for you At the same time, there's also an appeal information package. If you want to know more about the grace appeals and the standing appeals, both legal included also put a message about the CESAR grade appeals, pretty much are the same. So why are the same? Because we, CESAR and RSU, we are just taking the important points and sections from policy 168. That is the one, this is the university policy related to appeals. Again, just feel free to contact us for RSU, just book the appointment or the email. So we are working remotely. So we will do our best just to get back to you. Keep in mind that the deadline is this May 25th at 4 o'clock. And this is for any courses that you have for that you took during the winter. And just for your purposes, there are 5 rounds for appeals, for grade appeals, and then there are 4 for standing appeals, which is, you can see it in the slides before, prior to this. One is extenuating circumstances, the other one is prejudice, the other one is procedural error, and extenuating circumstances, prejudice, procedural error. Which one am I missing, Lindo?
Sorry, what was that?
What are the, can you put a slide
Course
before?
management?
Course
Course
management.
Oh, the previous slide. Sure, yeah. Yep.
Just for grade appeals. So extenuating circumstances, prejudice, and procedural error. Yes, just those 4, sorry. Those 3, and then course management is only for grade appeals. And sorry, it's just, I say 5 rounds. I mean, we used to have 5, but the thing is now with extenuating circumstances, they're combined basically health and compassionate issues. So all created these extenuating circumstances. So yeah, so it is important that when you file your appeal, read the policy, read the appeal. I mean, if you don't want to go through the whole policy, look at the RSU or CESAR appeal packages. All the important information for your grade and standing appeals is there. So that's a great materials for you. And if you can, another thing that, I mean, we will be talking more about how to write strong appeal. Then if you take a look at the workshops, sorry, at the appeal information package, it will describe all the information, all the necessary information that you need and that will be required. So if you do that before the workshop, then you write your appeal, that will be very helpful. So for those, I mean, again, we always recommend that students file a grade appeal when they are when they have academic issues. And Sully also, thank you, Sully. He sent a message to everyone, just if they want to book there's the link if you guys want to book an appointment with the RSU. And I think for now, pretty much that's all that I want to say, just very briefly. If you have any questions, just I can talk more about appeals at the end of the presentation. And also, again, I invite you just to attend the workshop tomorrow. And I pass it on to Kwame.
Okay, hello again. My name's Kwame Addo. I'm the Ombudsperson for Ryerson University. Now, I've been in the position for almost 2 years now, having taken over the position from Nora Farrell, who was the Ombudsperson at the university for over 19 years. So just a little bit about our office. The Ombuds office here at the university was established in 1997, which makes it 24 years old. And the office and the staff that work in the office operate independently from the university, which is an important thing to remember. My staff and I that work in the office are not employees of Ryerson, and our funding comes from a student levy that is applied to the fees that you pay. There are 3 pillars upon which the office has been created. The first one is independence. And independence from the university allows us to carry out our role without any undue influence or interference from the university administration. So this is a very important feature of our office, because there are going to be times where our office and the university are not going to agree on things, and we don't want to be hindered or prevented from taking action that the office believes to be appropriate. And that can be a little harder to do when the body that you oversee is also your employer. The second pillar is confidentiality. We conduct our work in private. No one can look at our case files and will not discuss your information or your identity, disclose your identity with the university unless you give us consent to do so. And the third pillar is impartiality. And what I mean by this is that we are not an advocate for students, nor are we an apologist for the university. We don't have a vested interest in the outcome of a complaint. We're only interested in ensuring that individuals are treated fairly. Just as an aside, treating everyone the same it isn't fair. And sometimes you need to make accommodations to place individuals on equal footing by treating them differently. It's about equity. So a little bit about how we work. We can look into complaints against the university from current students, former students, or individuals who may have concerns about the admission process. And most importantly, our services are free of charge. Most of the work that we do is done informally. And what I mean by that, it's done without a formal investigation. My staff and I will look for opportunities to resolve cases where we can through alternative dispute resolution techniques like mediation and shuttle diplomacy. We also provide conflict coaching to students and referrals to help them access information that they need to help address their concerns. Most importantly, though, we're an office of last resort. And what I mean by that is that a student needs to have tried to resolve their complaint first before we can become formally involved in trying to address the complaint. So that means maybe talking with your professor about your concern about your grade first, or taking advantage of any appeals that may be available to you before coming to our office or before our office can be formally involved. And if those informal resolutions are unsuccessful on our part, and we still feel that there's a fairness issue, the office will conduct what we call a fairness review or an investigation to determine if the university has acted appropriately. And once our review is complete, if we find that there is an issue that needs to be addressed, we can make recommendations to the university to remedy the situation. An ombudsperson only has the power of recommendation. He or she cannot impose the university to act, unlike a court when they issue a decision. So recommendations are only reserved for those cases and situations where our review has uncovered sufficient evidence to support our finding. One other aspect of our role is providing advice or information to the university community as a whole. So one example is the information that is found on our website. Our website is ryerson.ca/ombudsperson, and the website contains information about the various policies and appeal processes, along with their related forms, as well as a very robust FAQ section to help assist students. The office also provides training and advice to the university and its decision makers as well. We're located on the second floor of Oakham House, which is 63 Gould. That's near Church and Gould. During the COVID pandemic, however, my staff and I are working remotely, but you can still reach us by telephone or by email. My email is going to be listed at the end of the presentation. Our email and our phone lines are monitored daily, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. We'll also able to conduct video calls through Google Meets or Zoom if students prefer a modified face-to-face interaction. Those are my comments. I'm happy to take any questions along the way. So please put your concerns or questions in the chat box, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, Kwame. And sorry with the delay with putting your slide up. I was distracted answering a question in the Q&A. Sorry about that. So on to the next slide. I'll just briefly speak about a really great workshop that you all should consider attending, especially if you are debating what to do with your new academic standing. So the Center for Student Development and Counseling is running this session called Navigating Setbacks. What's next? So it's a session for students that are either required to withdraw or permanently program withdrawn. So basically you should just, actually I have in the chat here, I will send it to everyone, the link to register so you can do that. It's of course like a webinar virtual session that you would participate in. And yeah, it'll help you think about like what your path for moving forward is. And so again, it's happening on Thursday this week from 1:30 to 3 p.m. And it's facilitated by Daniela Cristini, who's pretty great. I think you would enjoy the session if you attended. And yeah, again, that's the link that I just provided. It's a Zoom registration link in the chat there for you all. So basically, I think this is pretty much wrapping up the presentation portion of this webinar. Here is our contact information. I want to stress that email is really the best means of communicating with folks at the university these days, because most people are working remotely. So you might prefer a phone call and try to call someone's extension. You'll, for the most part, be leaving a voicemail message, and then you probably will, you may be able to get someone to call you back, but really email is awesome because then you have a paper trail that shows that you did reach out for maybe some clarification, some assistance, and we're trying to resolve your trouble that you were in. So yeah, here's our emails. And yeah, I think I'll see if the facilitators have anything to add, but I think we're basically at a point where we will shift over to having more of a discussion, and we could grant attendees the ability to speak if you would want to verbally ask a question that way. And does any of the facilitators here have any other announcements, or maybe we could stop the recording? I'll just check in and hear from you all.
No, I just to sort of echo what you said, Linda. Obviously, email is the best way to get a hold of somebody in the Ombuds office. But as I said, if you do contact our general line and leave a message, we are monitoring the phone line, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible, and make arrangements to speak with you.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to mention too, because I don't think I've touched on how I have appointments with students. Basically, just send me an email and I will get back to you with my availability, and we'll set up either a Google meeting or a phone call.